Politics is easy to explain if you compare it to a dysfunctional family. In my attempt to explain a two-party system, I will use a family structure that consists of father, mother, plus 5 children, and I will set the father as the control base. He prefers the oldest 3 children, while the mother relates to the younger 2. Dad holds the purse strings, loves power, can be abusive, and is not very talkative, therefore basically controls the family. Totally. In this style home, Dad and the 3 oldest accept this structure because for them, life is great. Whereas Mom and the 2 youngest see its faults because they are often subjected to begging for necessities. Not much different than a two-party system, where the majority are teamed up with the Prime Minister, President, Premier, or the Governor in power, and therefore benefit as long as they do not rock the boat. All two-party systems, like two-parent families, are great if they have available to all members of the family or country a tool or method that allows them to have a voice in their future and in their daily living. Unfortunately, society, like members of a dysfunctional family, can find too late that a ghost lives inside the dominant leader. That leader would have walked down the aisle on his or her wedding day looking like a prince or princess, but now the malicious ghost they were coddling is no longer content to sleep. Maybe it's an alcoholic, drug-addicted, or abusive, greedy, selfish, control freak style of ghost. Perhaps the ghost is a sexual predator. But whatever the ghost, it is a powerful force inside the man or woman. There are many ghosts which, through its host, have the ability to take control of a family or political leader, and then the entire family or political party. And in the case of politics, it eventually affects the entire country. Remember Nazi Germany? How about Syria today? The reason for the ghost's success lies in the fact that there are no safety valves available to curtail its actions, and too often the rules that are in place serve to protect the ghost and its host, not the family or country or democracy. The main rule in dysfunctional families and in government is the no-talk rule. Why? Insecure bullies must protect themselves. In a defective family, you are not allowed to criticize or disagree with your spouse, parent, or guardian, and that rule can lead to totalitarian control in a family and in politics. If a home's communication system is broken, those who live behind the closed doors are more knowledgeable about the abuse or defective behavior taking place on a regular basis than are the tourists who may drive by admiring the exterior of the home or the country's scenery. Even friends, relatives, or tourists who have stopped in for a short visit see only what the bully wants them to see. The members of the family are well aware of the abuses each member is suffering, but in all closed-fisted organizations, the inner circle or dependent relatives are not allowed to criticize, especially publicly. In families, this silence is usually enforced through fear. And in governments, it is done through educated legislation, which forbids civil servants from speaking out and handicaps the public by keeping them in darkness when they, either group, are observing what to them, in their educated minds, is abusive. Family psychologists call it the no-talk rule. In governments, it's called whistleblowing. If it is the public that sees the abuse, they remain crippled because they do not have a tool available that would allow them to either slow down or stop the abusive behavior because, with the whistleblower rule in place, they can never get the required support from those witnessing the abuse. Yes, I know. They can apply for the information through the Freedom of Information Act. But by the time the public has jumped through all the hoops, the damage is done, and often not reversible. Think of Ivan Henry, the British Columbia man who spent 27 years in jail for rapes he did not commit. Everyone knew it was a railroad job, but remained silent. Study the photo of him in the lineup that became part of the slanted evidence used to convict him. It is a scene you would expect on a sitcom, but not in a real police lineup. Police were present. Lawyers were there. All remained silent, not unlike a dysfunctional home when outsiders visit. This does not mean that it should be open season on parents or politicians, but the no-talk rule covers the abuse, rewards the abuser, and protects an archaic system. That is not democracy. That is a totalitarian-style government. To what should I compare our democratic rules of protocol? Is it not like a family whose leader is an abusive alcoholic in a society ruled by abusive alcoholics? As in my family analogy, it all started years ago when the police arrived, again, because someone complained, again, about the alcoholic abusing a member or all members of the family, again. Finally, the police took the abusive alcoholic guardian out to their police cruiser and told that person, "We do not want to keep coming back to this house answering these same complaints. Our job is to enforce the laws. Therefore, we want you, Mr. or Ms. Alcoholic, to make up a set of rules that govern your home and your actions in that home, especially when you are drinking. That way, once the rules are agreed to by the other ruling alcoholics of your neighborhood, they will be written in stone, and two wonderful things will transpire. One, we will not have to answer most of these calls, and two, you, Mr., Ms. Alcoholic, will be free to carry on behaving in exactly the same way. Why, you ask? Because it is now the law, and we will be here to protect you under that law. And because it is the law, no one will have recourse to stop you without a revolution. Should anyone complain, we can ignore them. Should they start to demonstrate in the streets because of the abuse, we will lock them up for disturbing the peace. Hundreds of years have passed. How easy it is to continue deceiving society in general that these are good rules. It brings to mind the racist story I remember hearing when a young man. A white man in the deep south was out drinking, and on his drive home he hit 3 black pedestrians with his vehicle. When the police arrived and seen the carnage, they said to the white man, who was staggering about in a drunken stupor, "Well, this is an open and shut case." There was one black man halfway through the windshield, another laying moaning on the sidewalk, with the third crumpled up in the ditch. The white man in his drunken stupor kept expressing anger at being inconvenienced and asked the policeman, "What's the hold-up? Why am I prevented from going home? Who's going to pay for these damages? Am I subject to any charges?" No. Don't you worry, Mr. White Man," said the policeman. "We know how to handle these situations. Charges will be laid, but not against you. According to law, you did nothing wrong. But this fellow in your windshield will be charged with breaking and entering. That fellow on the crosswalk is guilty of obstructing the driver's view and causing an accident. And that man in the ditch, if he is still alive, will be charged with leaving the scene of an accident." That is how stupid political correctness is. There was a time that this story was considered humor, but today it best describes how ignorant are the laws governing those who we hire to serve and protect us and our democracy. You know the people, our government. It shows how stupid the rules of etiquette are with regards to our representatives, when our representatives behave in this same fashion by constantly pardoning themselves or their predecessors for crimes committed, and are not held accountable for those judicial abuses. Remember Gerald Ford and Nixon? Thankfully, many racist stories and abuses have stopped, but it took a revolution to make it happen. Sadly, this abuse continues to happen today, but within politics. And our politics needs a revolution to fix this twisted standard of justice. But for the sake of the people, it must be a peaceful revolution, and a peaceful revolution is possible. All that the citizens of a country need do is adopt the Barnes theory of voting with its value vote ballot. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. Buy my book and study the concept that is geared with you in mind. Help me establish true democracy for yourself and your children. Then get your friends to do the same. Bill Barnes, developer of the Barnes theory of voting and designer of the value vote ballot.